May kilala ba kayong mga people na laging pa-victim? Yung kahit consequences naman ng action sila yung nangyayari sa kanila, parang sila palagi yung malapit ng umiyak. Hi everyone, you may call me Elena and this is True Crime Chismisan kung saan kukwentuhan ko kayo ng true crime stories that I find interesting. Meron din kaming Spotify for those who are driving and nag-chores or kung ayaw nyo lang akong makita, please consider subscribing para may mapala naman ako dito. Ang programang ito ay may tema ng self-harm, negative racial stereotypes, karahasan at manipulation. Maaaring hindi angkop sa lahat ng manonood. Ang gabay ng magulang o tagapag-alaga ay mahigpit na ipinapayo. Today's story is about Sherry Papini. She's a mother of two who disappeared while jogging in 2016 and we're gonna talk about the investigation that followed para malaman ano ba talagang nangyari kay Sherry. Let's begin. Sherry Papini was born on June 11, 1982. Her parents are Loretta and Richard Grafe. She was born in Mount Shasta, California. Mount Shasta is located to the north of San Francisco. North siya ng California and closer na to the border with Oregon. It's a very nice place. Meron silang view of Mount Shasta, the volcano. Meron silang magandang lake. It's a popular destination for camping, hiking, and also during winter, meron din silang resorts for backcountry skiing. She has a sister named Sheila, and according to some records, they bonded over trauma of alcohol and drug abuse in the home. Sherry met Keith Papini when she was in middle school. And according to her story, parang childhood sweethearts sila. And they shared their first kiss when they were in 7th grade. Pero as they grew old, they also grew apart as people do. She had other relationships. And then she moved away from Mount Shasta, from the breeding area. Nung bumalik siya, they met each other, they reconnected, and a real relationship started. According to stories, they have been inseparable ever since. And then in 2009, when Sherry was 27, they married. After marriage, they live in Keith's childhood house in Redding, California, which is like medyo south ng konti sa Mount Shasta where she was born. They had 2 children, a boy and a girl. Keith was the sole provider in the household. He works at an electronics store, while Sherry, she quit her job at a telco to be a stay-at-home mom. According to stories, very dedicated mother daw siya. Sobrang organized ng bahay nila. Siya yung in charge of the scheduling, kung saan sila magbe-vacation, stuff like that, na parang siya talaga yung manager of the household. From all appearances, they're this perfect couple, right? You have the guapo guy. He married this blonde-haired, blue-eyed, popular girl who became a super mom. They have 2 beautiful children together. Very ideal family setup. Wala silang any history of major fights, walang recorded na police reports or anything, walang domestic violence. So looking in, they went about their lives being this picture-perfect family. Now let's go to November 2, 2016. At this time, 34 years old na si Sherry, and she recently got a boob job, so kakapa-breast augmentation niya lang and she's recovering from it. In the morning of November 2, she dropped off her children sa daycare as she usually does, so that's just normal routine for them. And then around 11 a.m., nag-text siya kay Keith, tinatanong niya kung uuwi ba si Keith for lunch. Sabi ni Keith, hindi siya pwedeng umuwi kasi he's working and all that. So, nag-decide si Sherry na she's just going to go for a run kasi she's trying to prepare and train for a 5K that she's going to do. So, she put on her running clothes and went out for her run. It was a perfect day. As I said before, maganda talaga yung area nila. You have views of the mountain, madaming open spaces. Tapos, she was tracking her run with an app. Hindi sinabi kung anong app, pero probably Strava because Strava or it didn't happen. Pagkatapos ng workday ni Keith, umuwi na siya. So, around 5 p.m. dumating siya sa bahay nila. Medyo na-weirdan siya kasi usually sinasalubong siya ng mga bata pagkadating niya sa bahay. Pero this time, wala yung mga bata. So, pumasok na siya. Tapos, wala si Sherry, wala din yung mga bata, which was weird. Nung pagtingin niya sa driveway, nandun naman yung kotse ni Sherry. So, feeling niya, hindi sila umalis or hindi sila malayo, pero hindi niya alam kung nasan sila. Tumawag siya dun sa daycare kung saan iniiwan yung 2 nilang anak. Nung pagtawag niya, nagulat na lang siya kasi nandun pa daw yung 2 anak niya. Hindi daw pinick up ni Sherry. So, doon na siya nag-umpisang kabahan. Tapos, tinawagan niya yung nanay ni Sherry just to confirm kung nandun ba sila. Pagtawag niya, hindi din daw alam ng nanay ni Sherry kung nasan siya. So, lalo na siyang nagpanic. Ang ginawa niya, nag-open siya ng Find My iPhone. Nakita niya 1 mile away from him lang yung location ng phone. It's in the corner of Old Oregon Trail and Sunrise Drive. Umalis siya, dinala niya yung kotse niya, nagpunta siya dun sa kung saan yung location ng phone. Nagtingin-tingin siya, wala siyang nakitang signs of Sherry. Parang yung area is medyo secluded siya na wala kang masyadong makikitang establishments around it. Pero bumaba siya ng kotse, pagtingin niya dun sa sahig, sa floor, nandun yung phone ni Sherry, tapos nakakonect pa yung headset, and the song that was playing is Everything by Michael Bublé. It's on repeat, and that was their wedding song. Nag-freak out na talaga si Keith nung moment na to, so he called the police. So the police arrived to the location, and ang initial observation nila is walang signs of struggle. Tapos nakita nila yung phone, nakapatong lang siya sa ground, tapos yung headset is parang naka-coil around and nakapatong lang on top of the phone. Medyo suspicious for them to kasi parang mukha talaga siyang ipinatong lang doon on purpose. Nag-canvas sila around the area asking neighbors kung nakita ba nila si Sherry, and merong isang kapitbahay na nagsabi na around 2 p.m. daw parang nakita niya si Sherry na nagjo-jogging. They continued the search throughout the day and overnight, nagkaroon pa ng aerial search. Tapos, they started interviewing people who are close to Sherry and relationships that she had. Sabi nila, so yun nga, super mom siya, she's a very dedicated mother. Tinignan nila yung bank accounts, walang any weird withdrawals na uncommon for her. Wala silang, as I mentioned before, wala silang history of domestic violence. Wala din siyang known enemies. Walang any weird activities like parang mga phone calls around the time that she disappeared. Nung tinanong ng mga police si Keith, is it possible that she ran away? Keith vehemently denied it, na parang wala silang problems in the relationship. The community really rallied around the family. It was so nice. Parang nag-set up sila ng GoFundMe and they were able to raise $49,000. Side note lang, tinignan ko yung conversion rates ng USD to Philippine peso around 2016, and ang lakas ng economy natin at that time. I think that was the last time na nasa 40s yung conversion ng USD to PHP. So in 2016, yung $49,000 would have been around 2.4 million pesos. Pero kung i-convert mo sa conversion rate now, yung $49,000 is nasa 3 million pesos na. Like, apart from the GoFundMe, meron din silang mga sinet up na missing posters. Tapos, the local government offered a $50,000 reward for any information that would lead to the return of Sherry. Apart from that, meron pang isang anonymous businessman na nag-offer ng undisclosed 6-figure amount that would be kind of a reverse ransom for Sherry. So, ang terms niya is merong 100-hour na deadline. Kapag ibinalik si Sherry within that span of time, no questions asked, they would receive the reverse ransom. Medyo against yung police dito sa tactic na to kasi nga parang you're rewarding bad behavior, diba? But it didn't matter kasi the deadline came and went pero hindi bumalik si Sherry. Since yung phone lang ni Sherry yung tangible evidence nila at this point, they really dove deep into it. And this led them to recently deleted text messages with a female contact, like babae yung name ng contact sa phone, pero when they cross-reference the number to known records, it belongs to a man named Donovan, all the way from Michigan. So, nasa kabilang part to ng USA. The police was able to track him down in Michigan and then they interviewed him. Ang story ni Donovan is that nasa San Francisco siya for business and then probably nakita daw ni Sherry sa social media yung mga post niya na nasa San Francisco siya, and then Sherry reached out to him and she's trying to arrange like a meet-up between them. Pero in the end, it didn't happen kasi Donovan didn't want to drive 5 hours from San Francisco to Redding just to meet her. And then they checked his alibi. He had a flight from San Francisco back to Michigan in November 2. That was the day Sherry went missing. And all his time in San Francisco was accounted for. Meron siyang mga witnesses that can prove na he was actually there and that he didn't leave San Francisco. Unfortunately, itong lead na to was a dead end for the police. During this time, ang daming naging theories and speculations kung ano talagang nangyari kay Sherry. So, number 1, yung private investigator nila is trying to imply na baka naging victim siya ng sex trafficking. Kasi nga, di ba, pretty siya. Tapos sabi nila, she didn't look like she's 34 years old. So, pwede siyang maging victim ng sex trafficking. Number 2, merong 4 sex offenders in the area kung saan siya nawala. So, possible na naging victim siya ng one of them. Pero na-disprove to kasi they all checked out the 4 sex offenders. Pero hindi siya naging viable na lead. Number 3, pwede daw na naging victim siya ng drug cartel. Kasi the highway near where she disappeared is used by drug cartels to transport drugs. Tapos malapit din daw dun sa pinag-disappearan niya is merong isang bahay na being used as a drug den. Fourth theory is baka daw meron siyang stalker na alam kung ano yung routine niya and sinundan siya and finally na-capture siya and inabduct. There's another theory na baka possible daw na meron siyang affair with a married man, tapos nag-revenge yung asawa, kaya siya naging victim. May theory din na baka hoax lang daw to ni Keith and ni Sherry for financial gain kasi di ba nakakuha sila ng pera sa GoFundMe. And lastly, of course, there's suspicion on Keith, the husband, kasi it's always the husband. Pero as I've said before, na-clear na ng police si Keith because wala naman silang nakitang past history between the couple and nag-check out yung alibis niya. On Thanksgiving Day, November 24, 2016, they were planning a balloon release event for Sherry. Tapos in the morning, nagsishave daw si Keith tapos he received a phone call. It was the police telling him na they have found Sherry. Sherry was found in Woodland, 250 kilometers south from Redding, where she lives. Tapos, it was 4:30 a.m. but busy yung highway because it was Thanksgiving Day and maraming tao na gustong umuwi or pumunta sa kung saan man for Thanksgiving. Merong multiple calls to 911 saying na meron daw babae in the highway waving a white fabric of some sort na parang trying to flag down people and get attention to herself. Luckily, apart from the 911 calls, merong isang truck driver who actually stopped to talk to her. Tapos he also called 911 and then the police arrived and requested for medical help kasi sobrang battered and bruised siya. She was wearing a dirty gray sweatpants and sweater and ang pinakatumatak talaga sa kanila is meron siyang metal chain around her waist. Tapos yung isa niyang kamay is nakatali din dun sa metal chain. Nung dinala na siya sa ospital, dun na na-discover yung extent of her injury. So sobrang dami niyang bruises in different stages of healing. You know, kapag may pasa ka, over time nag-iiba yung kulay niya habang nag-heal siya. So yung mga bruises daw on her arms, on her pelvis, and also on the front of her legs, sa harapan ng hita niya, iba-iba yung kulay, suggesting na binugbog siya over time. Apart from the bruises, meron din daw siyang mga burn marks on her forearms. Tapos, meron siyang mga marks ng ligature on her wrist and on her ankle, suggesting na she was bound during her time in captivity. Remember, 22 days siyang nawala in total. Tapos, disoriented siya, hindi niya alam kung nasaan siya, and she lost like 5 kilos in the 22 days she was gone. Tapos, yung long blonde hair niya had been cut short, tas parang basta-basta na lang ginupit. Pagka-receive ni Keith nung call, dali-dali na siyang nag-drive papunta dun sa hospital. Tapos for their reunion, when he arrived, nagyakapan lang daw sila for 20 minutes. Tapos sabi lang sila ng sabi ng I love you to each other. When the initial shock wore off, medyo nakapag-usap na silang dalawa. Tapos sinabi ni Sherry kay Keith, she doesn't trust the cops kasi they were involved in her disappearance. Kaya pala, nung tinatry siyang interviewin in the ambulance and in the hospital, ayaw niyang makipag-usap dun sa mga police. So ang naging workaround nila is si Keith yung magtatanong ng mga questions kay Sherry while he's holding a tape recorder, and there would be police present in the room pero hindi sila magsasalita. Si Keith and si Sherry lang yung mag-uusap while they observe. In her recorded statement, ito yung nangyari sa kanya. During her run, meron daw SUV na nag-pass by sa kanya, and then they reversed back to where she was, and then inside there were 2 Hispanic women. Yung isa daw had a gun, and then she pointed the gun at her and told her to get inside. Tapos, in this struggle daw, parang naisip niya, oh my gosh, iiwan ko yung phone ko dito with my headset, with some strands of my hair para malaman nila na ako tong nawala. Nung binasa ko to, parang iniisip ko, girl, ano ba, tinatrack mo na yung run mo with an app. So, may GPS data yun, di ba? That would have been a better tracking device. But whatever, yun ang ginawa niya. Iniwan niya yung phone niya with some strands of her hair, and then she got inside the car. Tapos sabi niya, hindi niya alam kung anong nangyari, kung na-taser daw ba siya or what, pero nawalan siya ng malay. Nung nagising na siya, she was in a dark room, tapos wala na siyang damit. Sabi niya, ang captors niya daw is yung 2 Hispanic woman. Yung isa na mas bata, mas mabait daw, tinatry siyang kausapin, ganyan. Tapos kapag kinakausap siya, nagagalit daw yung mas matanda. Yung mas matanda daw na babae, yung responsible for her abuse, and mas masama daw talaga yon, mas mean daw talaga towards her. During her captivity, sabi niya, naka-chain daw yung waist niya to a metal pole. Tapos, meron daw closet. Minsan nilalok siya dun sa closet. Tapos, binibigyan lang siya ng pagkain once a day. Kapag meron siyang ginagawang sounds na medyo maingay, papasok daw yung matandang babae, tapos bubugbugin siya, or minsan, ibe-burn siya. Hindi sinabi kung ano talaga yung ginagamit pang burn sa kanya. Pero di ba meron siyang burn mark sa braso niya. So, sabi niya yun daw yun kapag meron siyang sounds na ginagawa. Tapos, they keep playing loud music dun sa labas ng room niya. Ang exact words niya is really annoying Mexican music. I think in reality, she's referring to mariachi music. Sabi niya, yung dalawang captors niya daw would wear bandanas on the bottom half of their face. So, hindi niya kita kung ano yung itsura ng bottom half of their faces. Tapos, sinabi daw sa kanya na we're going to sell you, your buyer is a cop, ganyan. So, dun nag-umpisa yung distrust niya with the cops. I forgot to say, one of her major injuries during the inspection sa kanya is dun sa isang shoulder niya on her back, meron siyang branding. Alam niyo yung branding, yung ginagawa sa mga livestock, like sa mga baka to mark ownership. Like parang merong hot piece of metal na papasuin sila nun para magkaroon ng mark on their skin na permanent. So yun yung parang mark of ownership ng mga farmers before. Pero now, outlawed na siya. Iba na yung way nila to mark ownership. But anyway, ginawa yun sa kanya. So meron siyang mga letters on her back saying Exodus. Hindi alam kung ano siya exactly, pero ang sinabi ni Sherry over time is parang ang tingin niya daw, Exodus with some numbers. It's like a Bible verse daw, pero hindi niya alam exactly kung ano yon. So yun yung parang isa sa mga worst injuries that she had. Sabi niya, yung dalawa niya daw captors would argue often, and then yun nga, over time daw, nag-change talaga yung behavior ng younger captor towards her, na talagang bumait siya, and she became kind of her savior during her captivity. Sabi ni Sherry, she would practice yoga and magsa-stretch daw siya kasi health is wealth. Tapos tinanong siya nung police one time, how do you do that without making any sound? Sabi niya, hawakan niya daw yung chains niya para kapag gumagalaw siya, hindi masyadong tutunog. She made multiple attempts to escape. One time, tinry niya tanggalin yung board dun sa windows kasi the windows were boarded up with parang mga tabla. So tinry niyang tanggalin yon. Tapos di ba naka-chain siya to a pole? Sabi niya, tinry niya daw tanggalin yung mga screws nung pole para makatakas siya, pero nagkabali-bali lang daw yung kuko niya and hindi din nag-work. Nung kinukwento na niya yung escape niya, sabi niya may narinig daw siya na gunshot. Tapos pumasok daw yung younger woman dun sa kung saan siya held captive. Binigyan siya ng food and binigyan siya ng clothes to change into. Tapos parang ini-imply niya na drugged yung food kasi naging dizzy daw siya ulit, tapos hindi niya matandaan masyado kung ano yung mga next na nangyari. Pero sabi niya, blindfold daw siya or tinakpan yung head niya ng something, tapos isinakay siya sa kotse. Nung nandun daw siya dun sa may sasakyan, sabi niya, tinatry daw niya na i-mark kung gaano kalayo yung binyahe nila by trying to count how many songs play on the radio. Pero nahirapan daw talaga siya to stay awake kasi nga parang she was drugged. Tapos sabi niya, dahil nga naka-blindfold siya, hindi niya alam kung merong ibang tao dun sa sasakyan. Tapos tumigil sila sa isang maliit na road. Pinababa daw siya nung younger woman. Sinabi sa kanya, get out. Tapos takot na takot siya kasi akala niya papatayin na siya. Pero ang nangyari daw is nag-drive away lang yung girl with the car. Nung pagkaalis daw ng girl, takot pa din siya, so hindi niya alam kung anong gagawin niya. Medyo nag-freeze siya. But after some time, medyo parang natauhan na siya and na-realize niya, oh my gosh, she's free. So naglakad siya, tumakbo siya, naghanap siya kung sino may hingian niya ng tulong. So kumatok siya sa mga buildings around the area, pero walang tao kasi nga gabi yun, parang madaling araw. Ang ginawa niya, tumakbo siya dun papunta sa highway and dun na siya nag-start na parang mag-flag ng mga tao gamit yung itinakip sa mukha niya na tela and yung one free hand niya, kasi ba yung isa nakatali dun sa waist niya. Yung one free hand niya, tinanggal niya yung pillowcase yung nakatakip sa head niya na parang blindfold. Tapos yun yung wini-wave niya dun sa mga passers-by dun sa highway. And yun na yung story nung return niya. During the time of her disappearance, grabe na talaga yung media frenzy around the case. It was so big, not only local in California, but also nationwide, the entire United States. It also went even as far as international. When she returned though, Sherry never made a public statement. And I think this is partly the reason why sobrang grabe yung speculations. Kasi the public demand for morbidity and information was never satisfied dahil hindi siya nagpakita publicly. There were many news interviews interviews with Keith, and he was trying to explain the state in which she was found, like all of her injuries, the trauma that she's been through. But still, madami pa ding nagsasabi na it was a hoax daw. The police was also quiet with their investigation, so this kind of added fuel to the fire. But they did release a statement saying they have nothing to indicate na it was a hoax and that Sherry just made everything up. Time passed, and from the outside, it looked like the case has stalled kasi walang interviews from the police, wala silang nire-release na statements, but in the background, they were working. Multiple interviews have been done with Sherry and the police, and the first few ones, she always requested Keith to be present kasi she really didn't trust the cops dahil nga dun sa sinabi ng captors niya na her buyer was a cop daw. But over time, medyo naglighten na din, nagkaroon na rin ng rapport with her and the investigators. So, freely na siya nagkikipag-usap sa kanila. In one of these interviews, it was a forensic interview and nakipag-usap siya with a sketch artist and they were able to come up with a sketch of how her captors look like. Natatandaan niya some details about her captors, like the young one daw has parang buhag-hag na hair and curly, while the older one has straight hair. Tapos sabi pa niya, the older one daw has coffee breath, she has fat hands and fingers, tapos yung hair niya daw, while thin, was braided. They disseminated this sketch all throughout California. Tapos, parang naging sobrang suspicious yung mga tao sa mga Latina women. In Hispanic communities, they advised women not to travel in pairs kasi grabe talaga yung suspicion and judgment that they were receiving. Parang this fueled racism towards the Latino community. Years passed, but the investigation was kept alive. Tapos, sometimes pa, Keith would call the police telling them na may naalala na details si Sherry. Like for example, naalala niya na yung carpet daw was this orange shaggy na carpet. Shaggy yung parang mabuhok na kind of carpet. Tapos sabi pa niya one time na sa isang store daw sila, sa isang sporting store, merong gun area. Tapos may nakita daw siya na black na revolver doon. Tapos parang nag-freeze daw si Sherry. Tapos sinabi niya kay Keith na parang yun daw yung gun. Ganun yung gun na meron yung younger captor niya. Tapos one time, parang naalala niya yung kind ng coffee table na meron dun sa area where she was kept in captivity na parang black daw siya na coffee table with a granite countertop. So yung mga details na gano'n na naaalala niya, like afterwards, they would report it back to the police to kind of keep the investigation alive. What Sherry and Keith didn't know though was that the police was already suspicious because of inconsistencies that they have discovered. According sa mga in-interview nila na kakilala ni Sherry, she's a feisty person daw. So kung talagang nagkaroon ng abduction, there would have been a struggle. She would have fought back. Pero dun sa scene ng abduction niya, wala silang nakitang signs of struggle. Tapos dun sa multiple interviews that they did, meron siyang mga statements na binigay na contradicting each other. Tapos meron siyang mga details na sinabi na never repeated na parang hindi niya naalala na banggitin ulit. So parang nagkakaroon na talaga ng doubt sa minds ng mga investigators. When they were digging further sa background ni Sherry, madami silang na-discover na pattern of lying. Tapos one of her acquaintances pa in the past said Sherry was good at creating different realities for people so that they would see what she wanted them to see, which got her really good attention. Tapos meron pang one thing na na-discover yung mga bored na tao sa internet. Like me, meron silang nakita na blog written by a Sherry Grafe. That is Sherry's maiden name. Tapos, it was a very racist blog post about Hispanic women. Nakalagay dun sa blog, and I quote, "The chief problem was that I was drug-free, white, and proud of my blood and heritage." Dinenay na ni Sherry na siya yung nagsulat nito. Tapos sabi niya pa, they spoke to a lawyer before to kind of remove it kasi she didn't actually write it and she has a very diverse group of friends. Like that means anything. Sobrang suspicious to kasi parang she was really targeting the Hispanic community with her accusations na dalawang Latina woman daw yung nag-abduct sa kanya tapos they would discover na meron siyang ganitong sentiments in private. Tapos syempre during investigation, tinignan din nila yung social media accounts ni Sherry and she has Pinterest. One of her boards was named Cultural Differences and ang laman niya ng mga pins are about racist kind of memes about Muslims and immigrants. But you know, ultimately, being racist doesn't prove or mean that she made all of this up. what really made police suspicious were evidence that were collected when she returned. First one was her toxicology report. According to her, di ba medyo dizzy siya, hindi niya masyadong matandaan kung ano yung nangyari on the day of her escape. Pero on her toxicology report, there weren't any drugs present in her blood system. So parang hindi nila ma-explain bakit siya dizzy. And the most damning of all was DNA material collected in her clothing and in her underwear. According sa kanya, she was wearing the same underwear that she's been wearing since the day she was abducted. So they collected DNA from several parts of her underwear and in general, her clothing. And it doesn't match her story. Diba sabi niya dalawang female yung captors niya, but in the sample, they found the DNA of one male individual. Dun, 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 dun. As I mentioned before, the police was working in the background. That DNA profile that they collected, they uploaded it to Ancestry.com. So para tong 23andMe na i-upload mo dun yung DNA mo, tapos sasabihin nila, hanapan ka nila ng parang kamag-anak na nawawala or something. So in-upload nila dun and they were able to find one potential familial match. Itong potential match na to, meron siyang dalawang anak. Nag-request yung police ng official na familial match nung DNA collected nila against dun sa nasa records na DNA nitong tao na to. Kailangan nila tong official na record outside of Ancestry.com kasi ito yung parang pwede nilang gamitin sa court as an evidence. When they dug into the background of this potential match, na-realize nila na one of his sons pala had a history with Sherry Papini. Apparently, this one son, named James Reyes, was an ex-boyfriend of Sherry, and his father was a familial match dun sa DNA found on Sherry's clothing. So parang they were starting to put two and two together. James rose as the top suspect in the case. Ang ginawa nila to totally confirm it was they went to his house in Costa Mesa, tapos parang they stalked him. Well, not really stalked. Parang binantayan nila, nag-surveillance sila, and then hinintay nila na maglabas siya ng basura. And then from that trash, they looked for something where they can potentially extract DNA. Tapos may nakuha silang parang ininuman niya. They sent that back to the lab and then compared the DNA from the trash to the actual DNA sample that they have from Sherry's clothing, and it was a match. In August 10, 2020, kinonfront na nila si James. Remember, this is 2020 peak COVID. Ito yung panahon na naglo-lockdown na yung mga lugar. Ito yung story ni James. Sabi niya, noong 2015 daw, while he was parang cleaning his house, meron siyang nakita na mga gamit ni Sherry na naiwan sa bahay niya. Kasi they were an ex-couple and they actually lived together for a time. Ang sinabi ni James, inipon niya daw tong mga gamit na to and then he sent it to Sherry's parents sa Mount Shasta. And then after this, apparently, si Sherry daw contacted him. Siya yung nag-initiate ng contact. Ang kwento ni Sherry sa kanya is that Keith is abusing her and raping her. Tapos parang sa paningin ni James, friend niya pa din naman si Sherry. He still has some affection for her even though not romantic anymore. Pero parang in his mind, he wanted to help his friend. Tapos parang kinondisyon talaga siya ni Sherry na kailangan niya ng tulong, ganyan, na talagang sobrang miserable ng life niya with Keith. Tapos, one day, sinabi na lang, meron siyang plan to escape or parang to get away from Keith. Ang sinabi niya, she's going to try to get away from him and then live with James for some time. Tapos si James naman, pumayag lang. Nakalimutan ko pala sabihin, sinabi ni Sherry kay James na bumili siya ng burner phone, parang prepaid phone na hindi connected sa mga pangalan nila. Tapos siya din, meron din siyang burner phone. Tapos yun yung ginagamit nila mainly to communicate with each other. Dinetail na ni Sherry yung plans niya to escape. Kinuwento niya kay James kung ano yung gusto niyang mangyari. Sabi niya, kailangan daw ni James mag-rent ng car, tapos drive all the way to Redding to pick her up and then they would go back to his house in Costa Mesa. Ito naman si James, meron siyang previous, I think, DUI charge, driving under intoxication. So, hindi siya pwedeng mag-rent ng car. Ang nangyari, nag-ask siya ng favor from one of his friends to rent a car in their name and then he drove it all the way to Redding. Tapos doon na nila in-enact yung plan. Ang sinabi niya parang he drove all the way there for 9 hours. So pagod na siya. Tapos pagdating niya doon, nag-text sa kanya si Sherry na ready for pick up na siya. Tapos sumakay lang si Sherry dun sa sakyan and then they drove all the way back. Parang sabi niya tahimik lang daw si Sherry. Nandun siya sa backseat tapos natulog lang daw si Sherry habang si James daw antok na siya kasi ang tagal niya lang nagde-drive. Pagdating daw nila dun sa bahay, pagkabalik nila sa Costa Mesa, si Sherry yung pinapatulog niya dun sa bedroom niya. Tapos siya dun siya sa sofa sa may living room natutulog. Sabi pa niya, sobrang konti lang daw ng kinakain ni Sherry. So ito yung reason kung bakit nag-lose siya ng weight. Tapos she started hurting herself. So parang siya yung nag-inflict ng sarili niyang mga bugbog sa katawan niya. Tapos sabi ni James, inask daw siya ni Sherry na suntukin niya si Sherry, pero nag-decline si James, ayaw niya yung gawin. The hockey player nga pala si James, I forgot to mention, nag-request daw si Sherry na i-hit siya ng hockey pucks, yung mga bilog na black things that they used for playing hockey. So yun yung ginawa niya, parang he was hitting hockey pucks onto her body. Tapos, parang one time pa, sinabi niya, pinahawak daw sa kanya ni Sherry yung hockey stick, and then Sherry ran towards it, face first, kaya nagkaroon siya ng parang wounds from the hockey stick. Ako, nung nababasa ko to, iniisip ko, ano ba, James, hello, hindi ka ba suspicious? Parang hindi mo ba naisip na gagamitin niya to against you in the future? Ano ba? Parang masyado ka namang utu-uto, kuya. Isa pa dun sa mga kwento ni James is that inuuntog daw ni Sherry yung sarili niya dun sa bathroom floor. Na parang, oh my gosh, whatever you say, you gotta admit, sobrang dedicated talaga ni Sherry dito. It came to an end nung bago daw mag-Thanksgiving. Sabi ni Sherry na namimiss niya na daw yung mga anak niya, so she decided she was going to come back na and also ready na yung mga props niya sa katawan niya at that point. Ang plan nila is mag-rent ulit ng car, tapos ida-drive siya ni James papunta somewhere, ida-drop off siya, and then babalik lang ulit si James. Ang nangyari, nag-rent ulit yung kaibigan ni James ng car for them, but instead of driving her all the way back to Reading, hanggang dun lang siya dinrive sa, it's called Yolo County, near Woodland. Tapos hindi siya dun mismo sa highway, but at a small road near an orchard. Tapos from there, kung saan siya dinrop off, naglakad lang siya papunta dun sa highway, and dun na siya nag-start na parang mag-flag down ng mga kotse, trying to alert attention to her presence. Tapos kinwento din ni James yung branding incident. Remember yung branding niya ng word Exodus here? Ang instruction sa kanya ni Sherry is bumili siya ng parang wood burning tools. Parang makikita mo lang yan sa mga craft store sa US. So, bumili siya. Tapos, ayun na, parang pinabrand sa kanya ni Sherry yung dito niya sa may shoulder niya, isa-isa ng letters. Imagine ang daming letters noon, Exodus, tapos may 2 number dun sa baba. Hindi man lang daw sumigaw si Sherry dun sa pain, parang she was just trying to keep it in. So si Sherry, naglinis siya. Siya mismo yung naglinis ng area kung saan siya nagstay. She made sure walang traces na may iwan that can be tracked back to her. So, ang mga confirmed facts of the case, according sa case files dito, is number 1, she initiated the contact with James. Confirmed to by phone records. Number 2, yung burner phones nilang dalawa nagping sa cell towers near where she was abducted, kung saan siya nag-disappear, proving na both of them were in the area. Number 3, meron talagang record ng friend ni James renting the car both times nung day of her abduction and day of her return. Number 4, yung Exodus branding niya dito sa likod, di ba ang daming letters yon, malinis yung pagkaka-brand sa kanya. Parang ako, ang iniisip ko, kaya ko lang binanggit to, is kung talagang she was branded against her will, siguro magsa-struggle siya and hindi pwedeng ma-brand sa kanya lahat ng letters na parang sobrang linis, neatly aligned pa yung pagkaka-brand sa kanya. So most of the facts of the case are corroborating the story of James but are contradicting yung story ni Sherry. With all this information, nag-decide na yung police na it's time to confront Sherry. I'm gonna link the full footage of the interview in the description kasi you have to watch it. Sobrang ganda ng pagkaka-set up ng police sa kanya. It was sobrang chef's kiss, you have to watch it. And also, I just wanted to note, sobrang amazing liar ni Sherry. As in, nagsisprinkle siya ng mga tiny details. She was very specific. And grabe yung emotions niya during when she's lying. Ang galing niya talaga. I could hand it to her. Medyo may mga funny parts pa kasi parang the investigators were kind of laughing along with her, knowing full well they're going to catch her ass. There were 4 people in the interview. Sherry, Keith, and 2 investigators. And then they started by telling them, you're here voluntarily, you can leave anytime you want. And then they said, all we want is truthful statements because it's a crime to lie to federal officers, understood? Tapos parang nag-nod lang si Sherry na ganyan. So ang unang pinagawa sa kanya during this interview is binigyan siya ng picture lineup ng mga Latina women. Tapos parang ang task niya here is to try to identify kung meron siya doon na parang nakikilala, kung meron bang familiar sa kanya. Tapos sobrang convincing ni Sherry dito. Parang sinasabi pa niya, this one, I'm drawn to this one because parang tinuturo niya specific features of the woman in the picture. Parang sinasabi niya, medyo familiar but she cannot say exactly why. Tapos at one point, nahingi pa siya ng parang paper para takpan yung other pictures dun sa lineup para parang mas specify niya talaga kung ano yung tinitignan niya. Like, this girl is so cunning. Tapos mayroong isang specific woman dun sa picture lineup na sinabi niya, she looks very similar. Tapos tinry i-confirm sa kanya nung isang investigator. When you say similar, do you mean similar to the younger woman whom we've always talked about? Tapos parang non-committal si Sherry. Sabi niya, it's similar, but it's not exactly the same.
This part right here doesn't really match what I'm remembering. But
The
yes.
hairline doesn't match?
Smaller one, older one. The younger one's the one that let me go and was the nicer of the two.
Okay.
The older one was really abusive and really mean and is the one that did all the really terrible things.
I forgot to mention pala, nung pagkakuha nila nung parang match sa Ancestry.com, when they were looking at the social media profiles of the two sons, nakita nila, merong isang picture dun sa Facebook nung isa, kita yung isang black coffee table in the background. It looked exactly like what Sherry described being inside the house where she was kept in. And then, itong picture na to, kinrop nila, and then pinakita nila kay Sherry in this interview.
Got the table, right? So that's ultimately what led us to those pictures, which then snowballed us down the road that we're eventually at and where we are.
So were
today.
you able to find like where that house is?
Yes.
And what? Tell me more. Tell me more. Tell me more.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Diba? Nagtatawanan pa sila. So this is Keith asking investigators how they were able to get those pictures.
And may I ask, how did we even get to that point? How did we get that photo? Based on,
Familia DNA.
so they said, they came back and said, oh, here's some people related in this
There's
familia.
about 40 people total.
That's a good thing, I guess.
But
And
40 is
then
better than
you just started
60
going
million.
through and then
130 or whatever the
boom,
numbers
that
are.
caught your eye. which-
Yeah, we started looking at everything that we could. Phones, online presence,
Cool.
criminal history, Facebook photos, DMV photo, what
Just
they
happy to hear you guys
drive.
are still on.
Next, pinakitaan pa sila ng more pictures galing dun sa totoong bahay ni James Reyes. Isa dun sa mga pictures is the closet kung saan sinabi niya na parang dun siya ay nilalock. Then nag-umpisa ma-excite si James. Parang sinasabi niya, oh my gosh, gantong-ganto yung pagkaka-describe mo sa akin ng mga furniture in the house.
Do you remember this
I
time?
mean,
Yes, I just found the original one of that and I was trying to explain.
it's a little bit different, but it's pretty. Excuse my language. It's pretty fucking similar, but it's different.
Overall, ang sentiment ni Sherry is it's very similar but it's different. Sabi siya ng sabi ng it's different pero hindi niya ma-pinpoint what exactly was different dun sa mga furnitures na pinapakita sa kanya. So parang hindi talaga siya makapag-commit na it's the same. After ng pictures ng mga furniture, ngayon naman pinadescribe sa kanya kung paano yung layout ng bathroom, kung saan siya na held captive kasi 'di ba meron siyang mga recollections kung ano yung itsura ng banyo. Meron pa siyang isang statement na sinabi na meron siyang specific crack na natatandaan dun sa tiles ng banyo. So, dinescribe niya kung ano yung itsura ng banyo, kung nasaan yung lababo, nasaan yung toilet, tapos parang hindi traditional yung layout ng banyo eh. Tapos, ang nangyari, after niyang i-describe, pinakitaan siya ng picture nung actual na banyo sa bahay ni James Reyes. Tapos parang, oh my gosh, parang hindi ko ma-imagine kung ano yung kaba na nararamdaman ni Sherry at that time na, oh my gosh, the jig is up. Pero nung pinakita sa kanya yung picture, parang continue pa din siya sa pagsisinungaling niya. Sinasabi niya na, it's the same layout but it's not the same bathroom. Parang different pa din siya. She just continues lying and she's digging a deeper grave for herself pero G lang. Kahit dinedenay ni Sherry na hindi yun yung bahay, sinasabi niya, diba, it's similar but it's not the same. In the end, sinabi nung investigator, ultimately, this is the house. We found the house. We found who was involved. We talked to who was involved. Tapos parang sobrang na-excite na si Keith at that point. Parang he was rubbing his hands together. Parang tinatap niya yung feet niya, yung knees niya. Tapos si Sherry parang tinatry niya lang napakalmahin ng bahagya si Keith. Kasi nga sobrang excited na ni Keith. Yun nga, iniisip ko, oh my gosh, parang, oh my gosh, girl, this is the end of you. Pero kinakam down mo pa din si Keith. At this point, binigyan ng dalawang investigators ng option si Sherry kung gusto niya bang umalis si Keith. Pero sabi ni Keith gusto niyang magstay. In the end, ang ginawa ni Sherry, sabi niya lang, can you give us time alone na mag-usap silang dalawa ni Keith.
I don't want them to find her. You're not listening to me. Because she saved my life. I don't want them to find her. I don't want to press charges, and I don't want to go down that road to jeopardize her. Because she saved my life, and she's the reason why I get to hold my children every single day.
Pagbalik ng mga detectives after their time alone, hindi pa din makadecide si Sherry kung gusto niya ba magstay si Keith or not. Tapos, double down pa din talaga siya. Ang sinasabi niya dun sa mga detectives, I don't want her to get in trouble. Pero sinasabi ng mga investigators, she's not going to get in trouble. We're not going to find her. We're not going to find her because she doesn't exist. Pero hindi nila yun outright sinabi. After some time, na-fed up na din siguro yung mga investigators and they just told her the truth kahit nandun si Keith in the room. Sabi nila, the DNA was a match to James Reyes.
The reason why you can describe the room is because you stayed in the room in the dark for hours, for days on end. The reason why you lost so much weight is because you stopped eating. The reason why you got a rash on your arm is because you cleaned his house. The reason why the brand is because he went to the store, bought the branding tools, and branded you. The reason why your nose was broke is because of a hockey stick. I know all of those things, and I know there was no sex. I know all of that because he passed a polygraph test. That said, it's not an abduction. She asked me to come get her.
No.
I rented a car. I drove up and picked her up.
If that's not what happened, what did happen, Sherry?
I don't know. No, there's no way it's James. There's no way. There's no
The
way.
DNA doesn't lie.
There's no way.
So ayun, after niya ma-fully confront with the truth, never siya nag-take back ng statements niya against two Hispanic women. Sobrang in denial pa din talaga siya na sinasabi niya na it can't be James, it can't be James. Tapos medyo naawa ko kay Keith at this point kasi parang it was so awkward yung position he's in. Hindi niya alam what he's gonna do with his hands. So he was sitting back, he was crossing his arms, or he would lean forward, he would be picking on his nails, trying to clean them, and then pinupush back niya yung chair niya parang para lumayo siya kay Sherry. After some time, nag-ask si Keith dun sa isang investigator na lumabas. Parang hindi na naging masyadong productive yung continuation ng interview kasi ayaw nang mag-confirm nor deny ni Sherry ng kahit na ano, umiiyak na lang siya. Tapos she already asked for an attorney, so tumigil na yung mga investigators mag-question, but before they ended, they did ask her kung she's thinking of harming herself, parang just for her own welfare, which I think was very nice. After this interview, a lot of time passed bago nagkaroon ng developments in the case. So, that interview was in August 2020, tapos na-file lang yung arrest warrant niya noong March 2022. I guess yung delay is because COVID era nga to, so nagkaroon ng mga postponement yung mga bagay-bagay. Dun sa arrest warrant niya, ang charges against her were mail fraud and making false statements to a federal law enforcement officer. Mail fraud kasi she filed a claim sa California Victims Compensation Board and then she filed those claims via mail. Ang total na nakuha niya doon was around $30,000. She didn't spend time in jail while waiting for trial kasi she was released on bond, parang $120,000. Very publicized yung nangyari na pag-release ng bond sa kanya na ang daming mga paparazzi. Tapos dun sa isang documentary about this, parang pa-victim talaga siya nung napanood niya daw yung video na yun nung pag-release niya. Sobrang awang-awa siya sa sarili niya na nangyayari yun sa kanya. Na parang, girl, these are the consequences of your actions. Ultimately, she pled guilty to the charges and I think tama lang yung decision niya kasi wala talaga siyang kalaban-laban dun sa false statements to a federal law enforcement officer. Ang sentence niya was only 18 months in prison and $300,000 payment in restitution kasi ang daming resources ng police ang na-waste sa kanya. Nung una kong narinig tong case na to, alam nyo, ang naiisip ko lang talaga, oh my gosh, Gone Girl. Very Gone Girl yung story. Like, so many details were the same na parang ang daming tao nagsispeculate na parang kinopia niya talaga yung plot ng disappearance niya sa Gone Girl. Number one, medyo pareha sila ni Amy Dunn, diba? Na blonde hair, ganyan. Tapos it was cut short during their captivity. They stayed with an ex-boyfriend. And then, parang sila mismo yung nag-cause ng sarili nilang injuries. Wala lang. Side note lang. So, what now? Sherry Papini is already out of prison. She has served 18 months of her sentence, and your girl has been very busy. In 2025, she published a book talking about her ordeal and kind of explaining her side of the story. And this book was accompanied by a docu-series titled Sherry Papini Caught in a Lie. Ang sinasabi niya, si James talaga yung mastermind of everything. Si James yung nagbigay sa kanya ng mga injuries and nag-capture sa kanya. Just to note though, yung mga established facts of the case already exonerated James and actually confirmed his version of events while contradicted hers. And one of her other claims is that Keith was actually an abusive, manipulative husband. I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt here kasi madaming mga couples na from outside appearances mukha talaga sila perfect, happy couple, but in reality, madami silang issues. So probably there's some truth to that, but we will never know kasi at this point, it's the boy who cried wolf, right? Ang dami niya ng lie na sinabi, so why would we believe her now? Apart from this docu-series and book, meron ding mga other docus that were published before. You can look at them. Ang daming publicly available case files and notes that you can read through if you want to learn more about the case. So that is the story of Sherry Papini's disappearance and return. Ang hirap maging empathetic towards her kasi nga she's lied so much and also sobrang daming resources ang na-waste sa kanya. During the time na nag-disappear siya, mayroong mga active cases in the area na weren't given the same attention as her case. All of the resources have been diverted towards her, which was kind of unfair. I don't know if her 18-month sentence and $300,000 restitution was enough. Sabi nung lawyer niya dun sa isang docu-series, he thinks the infamy is already enough of a punishment for her. Pero I don't know kasi parang wala talaga siyang remorse dun sa docu and she just wouldn't quit. Like parang kung sa akin nangyari to na nagsinungaling ako tapos it got so blown out of proportion na buong mundo knows my story, I would be so embarrassed. I would not write a book. I would not go on interviews telling my story. Diba? Like parang sobrang nakakahiya to. Ang gagawin ko na lang siguro magtatrabaho ko sa isang small office, try to change my name if possible and just really lie low and hope no one recognizes me. This also brings to mind the halo effect. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but apparently if someone is pretty, people think that they are credible. And since pretty siya, a lot of people fell for her stories and she was very good at manipulation. Hi! Ayun, so medyo mahaba tong story na to, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. And again, as I said before, if you have any stories that you want me to cover, please let me know. Please do consider subscribing and liking this and sharing this to your friends if you actually liked it. That's all. Thank you so much for listening and have a great day. Bye!